Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
The first thing I want to talk about, let me get a little bit of atmosphere going here first, if I can, possibly. All right. Now, you may remember about 2 weeks ago, we were talking about psychics, and we discussed psychics and mediums, and I've made no secret over the years that I'm a skeptic. I kind of think a lot of it is rubbish. But I did put out a call for a medium to come on and change my mind, because I'm always open to change. I say this all of the time in relation to every topic we do, that I will throw out my opinion sometimes, and other people come on and go, well, Niall, I don't think you're right there. This could be this, this, and this. And I've often gone, yeah, maybe you're right. So I am always open to change. I leave myself open to change because that's what I do for a living. However, I did point out it would be difficult for someone to give me a fair reading. As I've been on radio for quite some time, my life is pretty public. There's been lots of stuff in the paper about me over the last 20 or 30 years. So realistically, it would be very difficult for anyone to take up that challenge. I've given a lot of myself away, really, haven't I? So my team have managed to find a willing medium from the UK who knows nothing about me. Now, if they live in the UK, they probably know nothing about me. And they didn't even tell them who I was. So on the line, I have Tracy Fance, who is a psychic medium and psychic coach. And this is going to be a little bit different for me. Usually I put my callers in the hot seat, but I guess it's kind of my turn tonight. Now, before I welcome Tracy on the air, I just want to point out that although I'm skeptic, I do have the utmost respect for what Tracy does, and I'm open to what she says or has to say. And actually, I'm kind of really looking forward to it. Tracy, very good evening to you.
Hi there. Good evening. How are you?
How are you, Tracy? Tracy, look, I'm sure AJ has told you, I'm a skeptic, a real skeptic, But look, as I said, I'm always open to listen, because to me, I don't understand how people can talk to those who've passed away, or, how somebody can tell your future, when really I always believe that your destiny, you write your own destiny as you go along. So I'm one of those kind of skeptics. I'm sure you're used to that, are you, Tracy?
I am. I have no problem with skeptics. To me, skeptics just need enough knowledge for them to go, yeah, I can believe in this, or no, I can't. There's no point in me trying to convince someone that the earth is round when they're convinced it's flat. So that's a whole different ballgame when someone's closed-minded. So, I'm not saying I'm going to convince you. I might not. You might still have, too many questions and reservations. But hopefully I'll give you enough to kind of increase your curiosity and make you want to go and get more answers.
Oh, okay. And what is it you kind of specialise? Is it more in mediumship or is it psychic ability? Because there's a kind of stark difference between the two, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm a bit of everything. Call me greedy. Mediums get messages from people who've passed away, and so that's evidence-based, whereas the psychic is about the energy that's around you. And you're very right, you do have free will. It's not all set in stone, but the energy that is around you is about where life is going based on what you're doing. So it's about probabilities, it's about where your energy is at, okay? But if I say something in a reading to someone that they don't like, I make it very clear. Like, let's say I said to someone, look, your relationship's going to fall apart at the weekend. They have the option to go and repair that relationship, or they could just go, do you know what, I'm done, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
That's where their free will comes in. Same with the work thing, anything else.
So if you kind of feel a negative energy, well, then obviously that person is in a negative time in their life and they're probably going to make negative choices. But in turn, if they change that to positivity, well, they can restore those problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't make our best choices when we're depressed and angry and whatever else.
So how does it work, Tracy? When somebody, I'm assuming they come to you personally on a lot of cases, but I'm assuming you do it over the phone or over Zoom, or is that the way you do this?
I've been doing Zoom and Skype ever since I started doing this, and the pandemic just kind of took it up a notch or two, to be honest.
Yeah.
But as long as I've got your energy, and I do email readings as well, so I don't even have the person's voice for that.
And how do you do that? How do you do that when you can't even see them? I mean, that must be difficult then, is it? Does that challenge you a little bit?
It did when I started. I used to work with someone that could only do it with a photograph, but nobody told me I needed a photograph, so I just went from the name that they sent on the email. So unless somebody says, right, actually this is for my boyfriend or whatever, then it's for the person that's bought it, and so I've got the energy of their name and their intention, and so that's good enough. It's much, much harder to do mediumship for someone without their voice, though, because your loved ones are drawn in by your thoughts and your voice vibration.
Okay.
Which is why when you go to a medium, you've got to give them something. You haven't got to tell them your life story. In fact, I say don't tell them your life story. But yes, no, don't know are perfectly fine, because your loved ones will connect to that energy. And
no matter what I think of being a skeptic or whatever, there's probably genuine people who believe or who, genuinely maybe think they can speak to the people who've passed on or psychics. And there are those that are out there who take advantage of people too. So there are obviously people out there who are fraudulent as well, who just are in it to make money. Because I suppose nowadays, for those people, it's a little bit easier. The internet kind of makes it easy to find out a little bit about people, doesn't it?
And it does. And I think, if you were intent on scamming somebody in any way, you can do your homework on the internet. I obviously haven't. I don't even know what radio show you're on or your surname or
I know.
anything.
AJ made sure of that. She was very clever.
But, people come to me. I don't even always know their surname. So I don't even have the time to look them up on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, even if I wanted to. I just honestly don't have the time. But I do imagine that there are people that do that, the same as there's dodgy plumbers and dodgy carpenters. And
dodgy talk show hosts as well.
Yeah, that as well.
I've been doing that for 30 years and getting away with it. And anyway, so, see, I'm giving away information already. Okay, so Tracy, when people come to you, so what is it? They normally kind of would sit down, you have a little chat. Do you kind of get a sense of the person then just with a conversation to start off with? Is that how it works?
It depends on the person. Some people, they might be really nervous and they might be harder for me to connect with. Some people might be really deep in grief or, going through something really difficult that can make it harder to connect. And other people, it's like your long lost best friend and you just really click.
Yeah.
I do make the point of not talking about their personal life. So if you walk through my front door, you'd get the typical British, how's the weather, isn't it cold today kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Have you come very far? Because I don't want them to feed me and then go, yeah, but I told you all of that before we started the reading. Afterwards, they can tell me what they want, and sometimes they don't. They just go, brilliant, thanks very much, bye. And I don't even know their story. I just know what I've told them. So there's not a hard and fast, but I don't like to know stuff about people before I start. I do say to them, what do you want to look at? And if you said I want to look at, I don't know, my spirituality, that doesn't tell me a great deal. If you said you wanted to look at romance, that doesn't tell me if you're looking for it or there's something wrong with the one you've got. So it's a broad stroke, but it gives me something to focus on.
Yeah, see, people give out about me, Tracy, because I'm kind of black and white. I'm a very black and white person, I'm one of these people who looks at the facts constantly.
That's fine. I used to be super logical and black and white when I was doing mortgages and financial services. I'm not your average fluffy clairvoyant.
Okay, well, then let's get moving. Now, what I said was last week when we were chatting about this, and I had people on the air, callers were calling in who had been to people, and I was saying, that's rubbish. They couldn't have known that. Anyway, and then we had people on who didn't believe it, so we were all having a good Al Barney about it, and I said, no, look, if somebody can tell me something that nobody else could know, I neither have to deny or accept, but that nobody else could know, I said, then I'll believe it. And I spoke about a guy called Randy. I don't know if you remember his name. Going back many, many years ago, Randy something. But he put £1 million, a cheque for £1 million into an envelope. And he put a number in the envelope. And if he challenged psychics and mediums all across the world to guess what the number was or to find out what the number was, and anybody who could do it would take the £1 million. They could have it. And nobody ever won the challenge or nobody ever took up the challenge. So I was talking about that. So that's what I was saying. I said, I'm putting out this challenge. I said, if there's any medium listening who can tell me something that nobody else could have known. But see, the problem for me, Tracy, is that I'm an open book. And my life has been in the newspapers for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But from your point of view...
But they'll still there's going to be stuff that's not in the public domain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Of course.
You know, there's always things that are happening. There's always stuff that only you will know. And, you know, a good psychic or a good medium isn't going to, you know, pump you for questions. They're going to tell you what's going on. And as I say, a yes, no, and a don't know in answer to anything I say is absolutely fine. You don't have to clarify at all. And it might sound vague to someone whose life it isn't, but to you, you will know what it means, and that's the important thing. I'm conscious that we're live, so if I was doing a stand-up show where I go around the audience, doesn't matter what their loved one says when they come through, there are times when I will hold something back because you're in the public domain and it's not the right place to give someone's secrets away.
Yeah, that's okay.
So if there's anything that is like kind of going into that territory, I would hold that back and give that to you afterwards.
Yeah, well, look, as I said, my life is pretty much an open book. You know, with the exception of one piece of information that I think I mentioned to AJ just to say it to you, that I didn't want that discussed in the air for personal reasons.
Fine.
Yeah.
And we will avoid that, so don't worry.
Okay, so do you do it with cards? Is it do you use cards as well?
I do, but I read very intuitively, so it's not rigid, like this card always means this and this one means that. It's kind of an influence. It kind of gives me a theme, and I know where it's going to take me, if that makes sense. A bit like if I just showed you a flashcard with an apple on and asked you what that meant to you, and you would just say what apple meant to you. So I read them very, very loosely like that, and it just gets the psychic energy flowing. Okay,
loads of texters, by the way, text in. By the way, Martin says, "No, that was a magician called James Randi." Oh, James Randi, that's right, that was his name, yeah.
Yes.
Somebody else said they're glued to the radio, so they're dying to find out if once and for all Niall can be convinced. Yeah. Well, look, I'm ready when you are. Are you just far away?
What I would say is if something makes absolutely no sense at all, do not be polite. Make sure you say, no, I can't take that because that means I need more information or I'm not connecting and I want this to make sense. I don't want this to just, you know, be you going, okay.
Okay, so you want me to be honest. So if it doesn't make any sense to me or if it's not related to me, I'll just say no, not at all. Okay.
Yeah, I much prefer that. Okay, so around you recently, this feels to me like you have been looking to take back control of your life. I'm not saying it was completely out of control, but you didn't feel like you were the one masterminding it. You kind of felt like you were just going along with the flow or being tossed around by the river. And this to me feels like you've been through quite a lot of difficulties recently, but I feel like you're coming back out the other side of them. You're not fully where you need to be, but it's like, right, I feel like a lot of the worst of it is over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Good. So we always look at the immediate past so you can see that we're connecting. There are times when I've read to someone and they can't really take what I'm saying, but they've come back a few months later and gone, oh my God, everything you said happened. But because I told them a little bit about where they've been at, they had that trust that everything else was going to come as well.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
So,
okay.
At the moment, you have a lot of questions around what you want in life, where you're going to go next. It feels to me like this is your normal internal sat nav. This isn't you being unhappy or ungrateful. You're just questioning whether you're on the right path with everything in your life and whether there's anything else that you should bring in. Does that make sense?
It does. You know me too well. I've been doing that. I've been doing that since the day I was born.
That's fine. With some people, it is just constant doubt and fear like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? But for you, this just feels like that's your way of checking in. I call it the bat sonar. You know, you send out that message to the universe, and if it feels okay, you carry on. If you hit a dud, no, you go, right, what do I need to change? Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing celebrations coming up with you. I'm seeing people around you saying, well done, you.
Okay.
And that feels as though you've navigated something quite challenging, but you've picked yourself up and got yourself going again. And with that, I feel that you're actually wanting to set the bar in your life quite high. And I know you said you've been on radio for 30 years, so unless you started when you were 5, I'm roughly guessing your age, So you're not ready to kind of start tailing off. You're not ready to start going, oh, well, I've just got to make it to retirement and then I can take it easy. With you, it's the opposite.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be good. It's pity they weren't celebrating back in June, by the way, when I ran for the European elections and just about made it but didn't get in. But however.
Well, this really feels to me like it is onwards and upwards to bigger and better things, because you've got this new energy, this new lease for life. It's kind of like, right, I want to do things and go places I don't want to just coast through.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I feel like there's one particular idea that is starting to gain traction with you, because you haven't done a great deal with it, but it's kind of burning a hole in your brain going, yeah, this has got legs. Yeah, this is something I want to do. And so the next step is actually strategizing how you're going to be able to take that idea from an idea to something real, okay? But it's very early days at this point, okay?
Yeah, that's pretty much on the money. Okay, we're doing good here. This, you know me a lot better than I thought you did, but go on.
Talking of money, I can see that there is a need for you to be really clever with money with this idea. So that would tell me that you've got to make a little bit of money work really hard for you to achieve what you want. But at the same time, you've got to cultivate this idea and not try and go too fast, because if you go too fast, finances won't be in step and it will just hit the skids, okay?
Okay.
And I feel that you're someone who's normally quite calculated and quite measured, and I mean that in a positive way. You don't just jump in with all guns blazing and hope that it's going to work okay. But I do feel that there are times when you have got carried away with the enthusiasm and it's not worked out, and that's hurt and it's knocked your pride. And I'm seeing you looking back at those going, right, I need to make sure that doesn't happen again. I need to make sure that I go at the right pace and I kind of tickle this along. Like if you were growing a plant in the garden, you cannot hurry it. You just can water it and look after it and it will get there. And that's what this idea, this project is very much like, okay?
Okay.
I do see opportunities coming along in the meantime that are not on your radar. They're not part of your plan. But I'm seeing that these are opportunities that hook you in emotionally and make you go, oh, actually, quite like this. Hadn't thought about it, but I quite like it. And so over the next month or two, I'm seeing you moving forward cautiously but slowly with these opportunities that present themselves, because you really don't know where they're going to go. You haven't got the ability to kind of strategize like you would with a game of chess and go, right, if I do this, that'll happen. If I do that, that'll happen. It's like I just have to go one step at a time and see where it leads me, but it feels good. You are actually very intuitive.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
You might call it gut instinct or business acumen, but it's all the same thing. It's intuition.
Yeah. I'm a bit of an entrepreneur.
Okay. So what I'm seeing is your goals and plans that you've got on your kind of to-do list. I feel that they're going to bring this really great change in your quality of life, the richness of life. It will bring money as well, but you are all about the joy of living and the joy of doing stuff. So this is about emotional reward, not just financial. Okay.
Yeah, I've always been pretty much like that. I mean, I'm not driven by the money aspect or the financial. As long as I get enough to keep me going, I'm not driven by the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think most people are the same. As long as our financial
success.
needs are met,
I think success is more rewarding. Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether you are normally a bit of a worrier and a bit of an overthinker, but it feels like this next month you have got a huge amount on your mind. And if you were coming to me, I would be suggesting you look at all the different coaching tools to get a load of that stuff out of your head and onto paper so that you can think straight and see straight, okay?
Yeah.
The main thing here is, and this is my eBay card that has come up, even though the tarot is ancient, I have an eBay card. There are things that are in play at the moment in terms of your goals and your plans. And these are on the horizon to come to you. There won't be any surprises because what's coming is what you set your intention for. But there is that excitement and that sense of really being pleased that the hard work's paid off and you're bearing the fruit over the next probably 2 or 3 months, okay? So It's not instant, but it is coming, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, I keep being shown ships with you. I've got a lady here who has passed. I'm going to say she is on your mum's side, and she is an absolute character. Very much salt of the earth, and I feel like she would have done anything for anybody. She'd give you the last pound in her pocket, even if you were a stranger, if she felt you needed it. But she's showing me big ships. So would you understand links on your mum's side to either the boat yards or something to do with shipping?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, well, these look like...
Well, I did have actually, no, just thinking now. Well, I suppose I should tell you, my mother's sister-in-law worked on the Cunard lines.
Ah, right.
Okay, so that was my mother's brother's wife. Yeah, they worked on both of them worked on the Cunard lines on the Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So that is evidence that that's that side of the line. So that's good.
Yeah.
So what she is showing me here is that what you're doing over the next few years is about changing the flow of finances. And so she says you've got to start doing what's for you. You've got to start making sure that you're not people-pleasing, you're not doing what you think you should do, you're doing what you want to do, okay? And I don't really get a sense of you being a people-pleaser, so there has to be a reason why she's saying that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What I do see is that she's giving me celebrations, so she's just telling me that there's lots of good things coming down the road. So the difficulties you've been through recently are going to be a thing of the past, and you'll be more focused on the good stuff. But she tells me you are a glass half full rather than half empty. And she very much says that you tend to find the positives, but even you've been struggling a little bit in recent months. Would you understand that?
Yeah, I've had a bit of a tough few months, yeah.
And I think even the most positive of people have days where it's like, why am I bothering? So you're entitled to have a couple of crap days.
Yeah, but no, I don't know whether she'd be really too interested. I mean, don't get me wrong. I knew her quite well, and she was a lovely woman. Now she died 20 years ago, 25 years ago, but she was a really nice woman. But they lived in America because they were back and forward to New York all the time. Because originally from Dublin, but back and forward to New York all the time because they worked. He was a purser on the Queen Elizabeth, and I think she worked on the boat. That's how they met back in the 1950s or whatever,
Yeah, that makes sense. And, they don't care about in-laws and family, ex-girlfriends, whatever. So, I've had people where they're on their third husband and the family of the first husband has come through because they know them. It's like, oh, look, you're having a reading. They're not, so I'm going to come and say hello because you're there having a reading. They don't even care if they've fallen out with you or whether you didn't even know them. They're your family. They will come through.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what I'm seeing here over, I would say the start of next year going forwards from there, I feel that you're traveling a little bit more. I don't necessarily see long distance, but I'm certainly seeing more short distance, like short hops, like even just Ireland to the UK or travelling around Ireland. So there's some travel coming up. I'm also seeing official paperwork and contracts, but they've got a really good vibe to them. So this feels like there's something interesting coming. And I'm getting lots of writing, lots of words. So are you thinking of writing a book, or are you wanting to do a memoir or something?
I was, actually, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The timing hasn't been right for that.
Yeah. I was only talking to somebody about it 2 days ago.
Okay. Well, that's there to come. But there's other stuff you've got to get out of the way so that you can concentrate and focus because your head is not clear enough at the moment.
Mm-hmm. That's
All
what
right?
that's what I said to the
And
person
so-
2 days ago. I was trying to convince them to do it for me.
Yeah, get it ghostwritten, whatever needs to be done. So you will know intuitively when it's the right time and when to move forwards with that, okay? Now, I don't have a clue why they're showing me this, and I don't have a massive frame of reference, so they don't have a lot to work with because they use our memory banks, okay? But they are showing me the Irish radio personality Ryan Tubridy, who's now on Virgin.
Yeah.
Would you understand? And you don't have to elaborate, but would you understand
Ryan, I've met Ryan a few times, but I wouldn't be friends with him, or we're not acquaintances as such. But I've met him a few times. But no, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a relationship or anything like that. No.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. Normally, when they do that to me, they're trying to show me that there's a correlation or a connection. And if you've met them, I'll take that as
Unless
a
somebody
connection.
wants to give me his job in RTE and pay me all the money he was getting.
You never know. You might get asked to go and do Virgin Radio. If there's more correlation between you and him, then I'm happy with that. But the fact that you've met him a few times, there's not a lot of odds on that happening, okay?
Yeah.
But they're showing me him, and I don't know a lot about him, so I can't really delve into his life and find that correlation for you, okay?
Yeah, he's nice. He's a nice enough kind of guy. He's been in the news quite a lot in Ireland over the last 2 years. Maybe not all good, but he's been in the news a lot. But I've met him on a couple of occasions, but I wouldn't put him down as an acquaintance, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just someone that you happen to cross paths with.
Yep.
So what I'm being shown is that next year seems to be your year. I'm not a numerologist, but I would lay odds that in your numerology, that is a pivotal year for you, because there's a lot of really great things that are coming. And I'm seeing you having more focus and more direction. I'm seeing goals and plans around finances, so home and finances, work and finances, starting to come together. And I'm seeing your personal life feeling more harmonious and more balanced. And I'm seeing more time with the people that you love. All right?
Okay. That'd be nice.
Yeah. And it just feels to me as though that's when you're going to be able to kind of decompress from everything that's been going on, because I'm not seeing a lot of spare time over the next few months for you to really just sit down and go, flipping heck, that was hard work, but I've survived it. So it's going to take you a few months before you're in that position to be able to do that. But the main thing I want to give you is that I'm being shown there's a lot more change coming. Where are we now? In November, aren't we? About May, June time.
Yep.
But what I'm showing that is leading to that is these goals and plans around finances, because they're bringing you financial security and stability. They're re-energizing you and firing you up for new goals and plans. There are a few battles for you next April, May time, but you're on top of them. They're just life's challenges. They're nothing bad to worry about, but they are going to be what make you decide that it's time for a shake-up, and you will get rid of anything and anyone that is not aligned to what you want that life to look like. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I would say that's where everything is going. That's the focal point of everything that's been happening. And then you can start focusing on your dreams again.
Okay. Anybody else, by the way, that has passed away or anything like that, is there?
Let me see who else is there. Is there someone in particular that you are wanting to hear from?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put myself right on the block now, which I do sometimes do with a client, but I don't do it on radio. Give me their first name, but nothing else about them, and I will see if I can connect to them. Okay?
Arthur,
right. Okay. So, if this does not sound like Arthur, think outside the box, because somebody will come through, and they might be the battery pack for Arthur. It might be someone completely different, all right? Because mediumship is not a science. You can't rustle them up, all right? So the first thing I'm made aware of is a problem in the chest area. It's like a hollow pain, and it feels like I'm really struggling to get my breath in. So would you know if Arthur was having a problem in the chest or with the respiratory system?
When he died, he would have, yes. But that wouldn't have been the reason he died, if you know what I mean.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's normal for me. When they come through, they show me what they passed of, and then we go backwards from there. But that's their way of going, yes, definitely me. Okay? Right, Let me see what else I can say about Arthur. Okay. Would you understand a bit of a personality change with Arthur? Because I feel like he was much more vibrant and had more energy and was positive like you. And then I feel this end period where he kind of lost the will and was tired and was almost ready to go.
No, that wouldn't have been him. No, okay. I don't think so.
Right. In that case, this probably isn't Arthur. Let me go and find out. Because he feels tired to me. He feels like he doesn't have the energy. He feels like he's almost lost his joie de vivre, okay? And that might only have been for a month before his passing, but it's not his normal personality. So he's showing me these two different halves.
Okay, well, okay? I could say that he was, before he passed away, he was tired and decided to have a bit of a sleep. If that's, I don't know if that's kind of vague then, isn't it?
No, it's just that noticeable change in a person's personality and how they were, when I feel that who he was most of his life was this really vibrant person who had a good sense of humour.
Oh, he did.
Good company to do it. Mm-hmm. All right. Very, very sharp mind, but I don't feel that he was one for trying to make other people look stupid if he knew stuff they didn't. He didn't like that. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it feels to me like actually in a lot of ways he didn't hide his intelligence, but it feels to me like he didn't shout it to the world like I'm really intelligent, know lots and you don't. If you spoke to him at length, you would find out that he was, really intelligent person.
He was a bright person, he was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of his knowledge came to him from his own searches, so reading, radio, TV, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't all academic learning either, okay?
No.
And actually, I feel that you two are very similar because I feel that he was skeptical about things until he had enough answers for him to go, okay, this is real. Didn't matter what it was. It could be to do with medicine, it could be science, but you had to show him and prove him. He wasn't just going to take someone's word for it, okay?
Okay.
And I'm also being shown what looks like money from Singapore. So where's the link with Singapore in your family?
There isn't any, as far as I know. There's no. I can't think of anything linked to Singapore.
Nobody was posted there. Nobody was in the forces there.
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know what this is then, but I'm seeing what looks like Singapore money. So put that on the back burner because someone in the family will know what that is. And this is where the yes, no, and don't know comes in because you can't know everything about everybody.
No, this is true.
It just isn't possible.
Yeah.
And so, people often send me a picture after the fact of, oh, here's the brooch you told me about that I didn't know existed. So put it on the back burner. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've misinterpreted it, but I'm seeing this Singapore money, and I know that this money has been through the hands in the family somewhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but I don't know really whether the handle that you have on Arthur's personality would have been good. He, he was a quiet kind of person, very quiet. Kept a lot to himself. Wouldn't have been really like me.
He did have a good sense of humour, though, didn't he?
Oh, he had a good sense of humour, yeah. Strange sense of humour by times, but he had a good sense of humour, yeah. But
I'm not saying.
There was something in particular I was actually looking for, I suppose.
Okay.
But and I don't want to tell you too much because if I do, then that kind of just makes it easy. Then, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But
no, that's fine. And this happens a lot. People say afterwards, "Oh, I really thought they'd tell me my nickname or tell me where the will's hidden and stuff like that."
Where they hid their money. Yeah. No, he had no money. That's for sure. He had no money.
So, I can only tell you what they tell me. And, if they haven't told me the bit that you need, then, I'm really sorry on that.
Well, look, it's been really interesting, Tracy. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. It's been very interesting. The only thing I will say to you, right, is I don't think I'm better off than I was at the start. There was a couple of things, absolutely. would have been me. I mean, you talked about certain things, and over the next couple of months, I've had a very difficult time, which is coming to an end now, which it is. And there are a couple of things that absolutely could tie in, but I suppose it could be argued that that's a little bit. It could be general too. No, I'm not. I'm certainly not writing it off by any stretch of the imagination. There was nothing in specific except for the book part, because you mentioned that I was writing a book, and I'd actually only spoken to AJ about that 2 days ago. Myself and AJ were talking about it. And AJ is the one who's convincing me to write a book. Well, my previous producers said the same thing to me too, but it's just time management for me is not really good because I'm doing so much at the same time. In relation to Arthur, I've never really talked about him much in the air. He's my brother. He was 24 when he died. And you talked about, obviously, which was kind of what you said was that he struggled to breathe. Well, he did because he drowned.
Right.
Yeah, but there was something in particular about that I was kind of looking for, because I've never believed it was an accident, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I always believed there was foul play. Going back many, many years ago, it's 35 years ago now. So I always believed there was foul play. But look, sure, the guards didn't investigate it at the time, and they just wanted it all to go away. But I was just hoping that maybe something would come in there anyway. But unfortunately not. But look, it's been interesting. I'm certainly not going to write it off. but I don't think I'm any more convinced now than I was at the start, apart from one or two little things that maybe, unfortunately for me. But look, that's the way it goes.
And it is, and I am aware of the fact that we're on radio, and I don't want to put too much out there. So it may have been that that's in there.
Yeah, sure,
I
absolutely.
don't know.
But look, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been lovely talking to you,
Yeah.
and thank you very much indeed for taking up the challenge. I really, really appreciate it, because it's not easy to come on the air and have somebody I wasn't overanalyzing, I promise. I was genuine. Even though I'm a skeptic, I was genuinely open to the idea and genuinely open to anything that you said. And a lot of things that you said did make sense to me, but in saying that, I suppose people will argue, well, it could make sense to other people too, and they could equally as well. I mean, the bit about the Cunard lines, well, you said that somebody related to my mother worked or was involved in the shipping. And yes, I completely forgot about that, actually. Her brother and her sister-in-law were both on the Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth. I can't remember which it was. One of those big ships, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, it's been lovely talking to you. If people, by the way, wanted to contact you, Tracy, how can they? What's the best way they can get in touch with you? If they want to get a reading by email or whatever it is?
Well, they can find me on my website, which is tracyfance.com, or I'm on pretty much every social media platform as Tracy Fance Psychic Coach, and they can find me there. And that's Fance, not France.
Okay.
And they'll find me.
So for people who want to spell that, by the way, it's TRACYFANCE. So that's TRACYFANCE, Tracy Fance. Listen, Tracy, thank you very much indeed, and I appreciate you coming on the show tonight and talking to us.
That's okay, my pleasure. Have a good one.
You too.
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.